Slovenia today is a developed country that enjoys prosperity and stability as well as a GDP per capita at 83% of the EU 28 average. It was the first new member of the European Union to adopt the euro as a currency in January 2007, and it has been a member of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development since 2010. Slovenia has a highly educated workforce, well-developed infrastructure, and is situated at a major transport crossroad. On the other hand, the level of foreign direct investment is one of the lowest, and the Slovenian economy has been severely hurt by the European economic crisis, which started in late 2000s. Almost two-thirds of the working population are employed in services. History. Although it comprised only about 1/11 of Yugoslavia's total population, it was the most productive of the Yugoslav republics, accounting for 1/5 of its GDP and 1/3 of its exports. It thus gained independence in 1991 with an already relatively prosperous economy and strong market ties to the West. Since that time it has vigorously pursued diversification of its trade with the West and integration into Western and transatlantic institutions. Slovenia is a founding member of the World Trade Organization, joined CEFTA in 1996, and joined the European Union on 1 May 2004. In June 2004 it joined the European Exchange Rate Mechanism. The euro was introduced at the beginning of 2007 and circulated alongside the tolara until 14 January 2007. Slovenia also participates in SECI, as well as in the Central European Initiative, the Royal Process, and the Black Sea Economic Council. In the late 2000s economic crisis, the Slovenian economy suffered a severe setback. In 2009 the Slovenian GDP per capita shrunk by -7.9%, which was the biggest fall in the European Union after the Baltic countries and Finland. After a slow recovery from the 2009 recession thanks to exports, the economy of Slovenia again slid into recession in the last quarter of 2011. This has been attributed to the fall in domestic consumption and the slowdown in growth of exports. Slovenia mainly exports to countries of the Eurozone. The reasons for the decrease in domestic consumption have been multiple. Fiscal austerity, the freeze on budget expenditure in the final months of 2011, a failure in the efforts to implement economic reforms, inappropriate financing, and the decrease in exports. In addition, the construction industry was severely hit in 2010 and 2011. Trade. Slovenia's trade is orientated towards other EU countries, mainly Germany, Austria, Italy, and France. This is the result of a wholesale reorientation of trade toward the West and the growing markets of Central and Eastern Europe in the face of the collapse of its Yugoslav markets. Slovenia's economy is highly dependent on foreign trade. Trade equals about 120% of GDP. About two-thirds of Slovenia's trade is with other EU members. This high level of openness makes it extremely sensitive to economic conditions in its main trading partners and changes in its international price competitiveness. However, despite the economic slowdown in Europe in 2001–03, Slovenia maintained a 3% GDP growth. Keeping labor costs in line with productivity is thus a key challenge for Slovenia's economic well-being, and Slovenian firms have responded by specializing in mid to high-tech manufacturing. Industry and construction comprise about 1/4 of GDP. As in most industrial economies, services make up an increasing share of output, notably in financial services. Economic performance. The traditional primary industries of agriculture, forestry, and fishing comprise a comparatively low 2.5% of GDP and engage only 6% of the population. The average farm is only 5.5 hectares. Part of Slovenia lies in the Alpadria bioregion, which is currently involved in a major initiative in organic farming. Between 1998 and 2003, the organic sector grew from less than 0.1% of Slovenian agriculture to roughly the European Union average of 3.3%. Public finances have shown a deficit in recent years. This averaged around $650 million per annum between 1999 and 2007, however this amounted to less than 23% of GDP. There was a slight surplus in 2008, with revenues totaling $23.16 billion and expenditures $22.93 billion. Government expenditure equaled 38% of GDP. As of January 2011, update, the total national debt of Slovenia was unknown. The Statistical Office of the Republic of Slovenia reported it to be €19.5 billion or 54.2% of GDP at the end of September 2010. According to the data provided by the Slovenian Ministry of Finance in January 2011, it was just below €15 billion or 41.6% of the 2009 GDP. However, the Slovenian financial newspaper Finance calculated in January 2011 that it is actually €22.4 billion or almost 63% of GDP, surpassing the limit of 60% allowed by the European Union. On 12 January 2011, the Slovenian Court of Audit rejected the data reported by the ministry as incorrect and demanded the dismissal of the finance minister Frank Kružanić. Slovenia's traditional anti-inflation policy relied heavily on capital inflow restrictions. Its privatization process favored insider purchases and prescribed long lag time on share trading, complicated by a cultural wariness of being bought up by foreigners. As such, Slovenia has had a number of impediments to foreign participation in its economy. Slovenia has garnered some notable foreign investments, including the investment of $125 million by Goodyear in 1997. At the end of 2008, there was around $11.5 billion of foreign capital in Slovenia. Slovenians had invested $7.5 billion abroad. As of 31 December 2007, the value of shares listed on the Ljubljana Stock Exchange was $29 billion. Investments from neighboring Croatia have begun in Slovenia. On 1 July 2010, Droga Kolinska was purchased by Atlantic Group of Croatia for €382 million. Croatia's Agrokor has intentions of buying Mercator, however since the middle of 2013 and up until now the purchase was unsuccessful. Due to Croatia's decreasing economic health, further investments are not likely.